When I was 22, my family abducted me from the US and put me under house arrest in India for a year. My crime? I was in love with an American man and sexual before they could arrange my marriage. It didn't matter that at 22, I was a graduate student and financially independent. It didn't matter that I was in love with the man for a year and a half. And it didn't matter that my family was educated, professionals, who in turn encouraged me to be educated and accomplished. What mattered at 22 to my family, culture, and family's religious teacher was that I be a virgin when I got married. At 22, I didn't have a right over my body or a choice about my sexuality. When I was taken back, they took away my passport, wallet, and address book. There was no internet at the time. I wasn't allowed to receive phone calls or mail. My every move was watched. There were guards outside the home. And it would have been foolish to escape in India at 22 and without money, because I would have been raped. I would sit on my bed by my window, listening to the world outside. I couldn't even see it. There was a 10-foot high compound wall and 3 feet of barbed wire above it. I would hear the honks of buses and cars, the roars of motorcycles and auto rickshaws, footsteps of people walking, talking, and laughing. I envied them their freedom. And the fruit vendors would walk by selling their fruits, which changed season after season after season after season. I broke that year. I came to believe that I was bad. And I came to believe that my sexuality was bad. They let me out after a year, but kept me against my will in India for 2 more, after which I escaped to the US. And I was physically free. But for the next 15 years, I lived a small, scared, isolated, and powerless life, filled with sexual shame, fear, and guilt. I grew up in India, a land full of ancient stories. And the messages I had received through those stories was that a woman's worth was defined entirely by how pure her sexuality was. It would take me 15 years to realize that these are patriarchy stories, not mine, and certainly not the truth of my body. In one of India's most beloved myths, Princess Sita marries Prince Rama. For political reasons, he's exiled to the forest for 14 years, and she accompanies him. They live a simple, happy life in a hut. A demon in a neighboring kingdom fancies Sita and decides to turn himself into a golden deer to lure her away. Sita sees the deer and wants it for a pet. Now Rama would do anything for his beloved. But before he goes, he draws a line outside the hut and says, "Don't cross it, Sita." Soon after, a sage comes begging for food, and Sita sees no harm in crossing the line. But instantly, the sage turns into the demon and abducts her away to his kingdom. It would take Rama more than a year to gather an army, find and defeat the demon, and bring Sita back home. The first question he has for her is, "Are you chaste?" Sita said she was, because the demon had his own moral code of not taking a woman by force. But Rama didn't believe her. So he organized a fire ritual for her to prove her chastity. Before she entered the flames, Sita prayed to Agni, the god of fire. "If I am pure, let me emerge unscathed." Agni knew her truth and didn't let the flames touch her body. Okay. And Sita emerged unscathed. But still, when a citizen questioned Rama's decision, Rama, to be a good king in his people's eyes, banished Sita to the forest for life, even though she was pregnant with his child. And forever after that, Sita's sexuality would be a question mark in other people's minds. There's much more to the story, but what's essential is that a man drew a line in the sand for Sita to not cross. And even though she stepped over it innocently, she was judged and harshly punished. The line in the sand. How many of you have had a line in the sand drawn about your body and your sexuality? What is taboo and not taboo? What is inappropriate and appropriate? What makes you good or bad? There are 4 ways patriarchal myths keep women small, down, and disempowered. The first is control. Patriarchal myths are external messages that a young girl or woman receives about her body and sexuality before she has an opportunity to discover her own truth, wisdom, and delight. So what happens is that a woman is disconnected very early from her body. And patriarchal myths, one way they do this is by instilling fear. That if she crosses the line, she will be judged, punished, persecuted, or even cast out. Sexual shame is an insidious mechanism because with shame, a woman has internalized the messages and she points the finger at herself, keeping herself isolated, small, hidden, and her self-worth drags on the ground. Guilt. Guilt is when a woman is at war with her body. She's torn between her natural instincts and drives and desires versus wanting to be accepted and loved by the people close to her. I would like to invite you now to take a few moments to connect with some of the messages you received about your body and sexuality. And please do this only if it feels right. Go ahead and close your eyes. And take a few deep breaths. And you might even place a hand on your belly or both to help you connect. And allow yourself to go back in time to when you were young, a teenager, a child. And allow yourself to remember some messages and stories you received about your body and your sexuality. And go ahead and keep your eyes closed while I ask you a few questions. Are any of those messages still running now? How did those messages impact you then? And how might they be impacting you now? And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes. How many of you are still running messages about your body and sexuality that you received as a child? Right. Right. Patriarchy is terrified of a woman's desire because when a woman is embodied and in her power, she bows to no one. Nobody can rule over her or command her. She owns herself, she's her own authority, and she is queen. Stories are powerful. They shape your reality. But the good news is you can change your stories. And there are 3 ways I recommend that you can try them. The first is question and challenge them. Anything that instills fear, shame, or guilt is a patriarchal myth and deserves to be questioned. The second is explore matriarchal, feminine traditions, which celebrate your body and help you cultivate your desire, your power as a woman. The Mayans say the womb is the woman's brain. In Tantra, a woman's body is a temple, and her desire is as beautiful as a flower, as free as a river, and as magnificent and wild as a wildcat. The third way is to go on a journey into your body, connect with your body, and to discover your body's own truth, delight, and wisdom. I'm Mytrae Meliana, a women's empowerment and divine feminine teacher, and I've been delighted to be with you today. Thank you.